All right. Welcome to third grade PLC. I'm so excited to be with you guys today, Tanya and Suzanne. So I know that you guys are ready to roll just like I am. But let me share my screen. Share. Here we go. That way everybody can see what we've got going on. So here's our slide deck. So let's start first with some shout outs. Last week in PLC, you guys really worked hard on a spiral plan for your lessons and from that mid-mod assessment data dive. And when we did classroom walks, we saw a ton of evidence of that spiral plan in action in students. We could see progress already. So tell me really quickly, what was the impact? So what's been the impact so far of that spiral plan with your students?
Well, I know whenever we went through the plan, we talked about student engagement strategies. So, kind of building in those opportunities for student discourse. I've already seen where students are much quicker to turn and talk to their partner, and they're using more academic vocabulary just because that is a regular part of our instruction.
I love it.
Yep. And then, one of the things that we have been focusing on is modeling, like really having that explicit model for students. So I have seen that they are becoming more organized in their work and they have a better understanding on what to do. When you say show your work, it's not just like, well, it's like very much like, hey, remember how I modeled that? Like, that's what I want to see on your paper. So I have seen like real growth on that with my students.
And that is because the way you guys are implementing those models, you guys are very intentional about verbally modeling each part of the work that you're doing, and then it's translating into the kids' work. I noticed that too. So excellent job, you guys. So exciting to see. So real quick, just read through these norms with me, and then think about what's one norm that you really want to commit to for our time today.
Maintain a positive and respectful environment, always good for collaboration.
Agreed.
That's what I like too.
Yeah, same. I think that's a great one to focus in on today. So perfect. And then roles and responsibilities. So Tanya, will you take over the annotation of the lesson? Any annotations that we add on to your already annotated lessons? I know you guys came in with a rough draft copy. So if you'll add for the group, and then Suzanne, if you'll be in charge of uploading that for us after the meeting. And so that way we all have the most exemplar annotated version easily accessible. And then I'll take notes on the slides, like as we have these conversations, so that way we can track back on our thinking if needed. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. Okay, so pre-work, we know that we needed those annotated lessons, exit ticket exemplar ready to roll, and then we already had the no-show chart created, so we just needed to review that prior to the meeting. Is everybody good on the pre-work here?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, and I did this as well, so I have this work ready to roll, and I really want to be as much a part of the conversation as you guys are. So let's get going. So our step one in our internalization protocol is to understand the lesson purpose and objectives. So we're going to do that, you guys know, by using the exit ticket as our starting place. So if you will, this is my exit ticket that I created in preparation for this meeting today. We'll start here, and then we're going to end together by creating one solid exit ticket exemplar to move forward with. But if we'll take a second, look at your exit ticket exemplars that you created and just refresh your memory on the work that we're about to talk about. All right, all good? Great. Okay, so thinking about the exit ticket, what connections, we're going to talk about all four of these things, but just one at a time. We're going to talk about what connections can we make to the no-show chart, to the learning objective, to the strategies prioritized in the lesson, and then to our STAR questions that align to the specific standard. So let's first start with what connections can we make between the exit ticket and our standard no-show chart?
So I know like for the no-show chart, there's like 10,000 and 100,000 place, like that is something that is new for third grade. So being mindful about those with even within the place value, and then just the pattern of place value, definitely is going to be important for this lesson.
Absolutely.
We'd also talked about them using students being able to use like objects or numbers or even like dots that's represented in the lesson in order to represent a number. And that's evident on the exit ticket as well.
Yep. Another thing that I noticed is we talked about representing in a variety of ways. And I feel like that is represented here, to your point, Suzanne, with the dots, and then they're written out in number form. So yeah, that'll be good too. Anything else to add?
Well, the number in standard form, and then definitely the regrouping piece. I know like
Yes.
understanding base 10 and how to regroup numbers when exceeding 10. So question 3, they have to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Great catch. Okay. So then let's compare the exit ticket to the specific lesson objective. What connections? I know we're seeing some similar connections probably than that what we already named from the no-show chart, which is exactly what we want to see. So tell me, what connections do we see here?
The lesson objective really talks about using the place value chart for them, like building and labeling that chart. On number 2, they'd even have to do that independently. And then the placement of the comma to kind of keep track of when you're moving into like your thousands place.
Yeah.
Yeah, like numbers up to 100,000. And then, looking at this exit ticket, it seems to go all the way to 10,000 place for this particular lesson. So just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I'm going to make that note too right now to make sure that we keep that in mind as we move forward in annotating the lesson today to see if we kind of exceed that 10,000 point to make sure that they have practice on all levels. Great. Okay, so then let's look at the star questions. Again, this is just my kind of star exemplars as I was thinking through this, preparing for today. But what connections do you see between the exit ticket and then these star questions?
So for question like the first one, 2024, this one goes, and I don't think we saw that as much in the exit ticket, like 0 as a place value holder. Not just like at the end of the number, like in the exit ticket, you have that 0 on the ones place, 0 on the hundreds, tens, ones. But this question has that 0 in between other digits. So that's important
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
model. Mhm.
Yes.
And I'm with you. We didn't see that on the exit ticket, but I think there is a place, problem 3 in the concept development that we can kind of expand that when we come to it to give them practice.
Right.
Because that's really tough to have that concept of like there are 0 1,000s.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And then with the 2023, this is a little more complex because they are having to think about regrouping
Mhm.
alongside describing the number in written form.
Mhm.
So what connections are you making here?
Yeah, very much that regrouping. And then within that regrouping, having that place value chart as a guide as they are just bundling those units.
Yeah. Yep. Great.
Outside of the regrouping, it kind of looks like question number 2 on the exit ticket because
Mm.
they're given the numbers written out with their place value and they have to provide the standard form. So
Mm.
this is kind of the reverse of that thinking.
Mhm.
Ah, good point. I love that, and we can capitalize on that when after they're done with their exit ticket, and we're kind of using it to drive further instruction.
Mhm.
I love it. Okay, great conversation here. So as we were talking, I took some notes here to make sure that we have this to come back to as we go. So let's move into creating our exit ticket exemplar. So I know you two each have your own exemplars, but now it's time to merge our thinking along with my exemplar thinking. We're all three going to look at it and then think about what can we take from each other's work to make the very best exemplar moving forward. And then after we make those exemplars, we'll create that. We'll create success criteria, ID vocabulary, and return back to our no-show chart to see if anything needs to be added. So let me give you guys just a second to review each other's exemplars. I have them up right here. And you guys have mine too on the back end on the slide deck. So think about, let's take a look and then have a conversation. What adjustments do we want to make the best exemplar moving forward? And when you're ready, just share out.
Mm-hmm. One thing that we didn't include, but you did, Dee Dee, was the place value chart for question number 2, which that would be important to either point them toward using the place value chart resource from the lesson,
yes,
or building one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then for mine, I see you have that in yours. And then Susan, she also, added the number in standard form in the place value chart itself, like question 1 and question 3. So I see that I'm missing that, but that is part of, like the no-show. So I need to add that. And the having like the 1 times 10,000, 3 times 1,000. I mean, really, the lesson is not like, even looking at the no show for this lesson, that may not be something that we are shooting for with the students for this particular one.
Gotcha. Yeah, that might be coming in the next couple of lessons. So I think that's a great idea. Like, especially with what you said, up to 10,000, that's a new piece for this, for students. Up to 100,000, I'm sorry, is new for our third graders. And so let's keep the new to a minimum and then add that complexity as we move forward. I love that. And then I was with you, Tanya. I did not write the number out in standard form on my second one. I did it on my first one, but then I got kind of lazy. So I'm going to make sure that I have that. And then I also think I missed the commas as well. And those are very important. We want to stamp that. So we can add that too. Suzanne, I also noticed that you're like underlining and check marking. Can you tell us a little bit about the thinking behind that process?
Sure. A lot of the questions ask for students to do a couple of things, like label the place value units and write the number in standard form. So I've been having my kids go through and like underline the active parts and then check it off, kind of to take inventory so that they know, like, I've done all the things that I was asked to do and I'm ready to move on.
That's a fabulous idea. Tanya, what do you think about using that strategy in our main exemplar?
Yeah, it looks a lot like problem solving. So yeah, it can be useful.
I love it. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Based on our conversation, I'm going to jump back to our exit ticket and I'm going to do some live annotations here for to capture our thinking. And then we can screenshot this and have our group exemplar. It's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be what we need it to be, right? So I know we said we want the comma here, right? And then we want to write out this number down here. Let's see. You guys double check my work. And here, right? And then I love the action, like label, right? And I labeled it here. Then write the number. So we did that in standard form. And then write the number in standard form. Commas, yes. Okay, and then represent each addend. Yeah, with the place value discs. Show the bundling, we did that. And then write the sum. Okay, and then we have our place value chart. What else did we talk about? Anything else to add here?
So in number 1, you have that 10,000. So that would be like one as a digit there rather than the 10.
Yes. Okay. So I'm so glad you caught this. I did this clearly, like, and I wasn't even thinking, but yeah, I looked at the 10, but here's the cool thing. This is going to be a mistake that our kids are going to make, right? So I love that. I love that I pulled that out for us. So let me mark that out. Oops, I accidentally deleted it. Hold on. I'm back. Let me mark that out. Here? Yes. Here? Yay. Okay. Got it back. And then we just need a 1 right there, Dee Dee. Perfect. Okay. Thanks for catching that, Tanya. This is why we do this. And such a great example.
Mhm.
Anything else to add?
In the place value chart, so you already, like for number 2, A and B, you already have the place value chart there.
Mhm.
So just adding where those two numbers would go in that place value chart. So you have 5,000, so 5 in the thousands place, 100.
Mhm. Do you think it'd be best to do the discs or write in number form?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know.
I'll do the number form because we're already representing it both up there and down here. So I think this would be a good place to maybe, if they can, look for that scaffold.
Mhm.
Okay. And then our comma. Perfect. And then our line to separate the work. And then now we need 43,000. It's a little
I can
painful to
see
watch
students.
somebody draw. Go ahead.
I can see students, because you have first 3,000s, 10,000s. I can see students not paying attention to that and then just doing 3, 4, 7, 2, 1. So,
That's a good thing to keep an eye on.
mhm.
So in
Okay.
B, number 2, it's written out of order. So it's actually 2 1s and 1 10s. So it'd be 43,712.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, good catch.
Oh, and did we mess that up? By we, I mean me. Yes. Yep. So we need to, and so yeah, again, another error kids are going to make, and I'm going to make. You know what? I don't want to mess with that. So if you guys will bear with me on the messy and go.
We know what you mean.
Yeah, we know what we mean. Okay. Good
Yes.
catch, Suzanne. Okay, perfect. Any other adjustments?
That's
Okay.
like perfect.
I'm going to make a screenshot of this so we have it saved, and then I'll add it to our slides below. Perfect. And then we'll clear all this off the screen. Easier said than done. Here it is. There we go. And then I'll add this down below. Yay, group exemplar. Here we go. Looks great. Great thinking. Okay. So then now that we've got a group exemplar, let's talk about what vocabulary and misconceptions we just started talking about. What should we look for in terms of vocabulary?
I know Tanya mentioned this at the beginning, but the 10,000s and 100,000s place value is going to be new for third grade. So being really intentional about that.
Yep.
Bundling. And then with that regrouping,
Yep.
we can make some connections with, like operational regrouping.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then let's talk misconceptions.
Well, the same, the bundling, sometimes not knowing what to do if they have more than like 10 or more. So that can be a misconception.
Mm-hmm.
And they also need to understand the pattern, like ones, tens, hundreds, and then that's repeated 1,000s, 10,000s, 100,000s.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So recognizing patterns, yep, regrouping. I think these are all great things to look out for, and great vocabulary to keep repeating and reinforcing as we're working through the lesson. Okay, so then let's talk about success criteria. So using the exit ticket that we came up with, we want to think about success criteria. We want to create our success criteria, thinking about what's the main skill, what are the strategies that students are having to do to be successful here. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to jot down some success criteria that you're already thinking of to use for this exit ticket, and then we'll come together, whole group, and share out. Sound good?
Mhm.
All right. 2 minutes on the clock. Take time to jot down based on our group exemplar. All right. Y'all ready?
Ready.
Okay. Awesome. So what do you have in mind so far? Who wants to start?
I can go first.
Okay.
To start, they're going to have to be able to build and label that place value chart for the exit ticket to the 10,000s, and then for the lesson objective to the 100,000s.
Mhm. Yep. We also talked about representing the number in different ways. So for this one, using those dots to represent the units, um, is yeah, it's key.
Yeah, I like this as a scaffold, and we were just hitting on this in the exit ticket exemplar, right? That the dots are a scaffold to first like visually picture, and then we want to move to the standard form of the number,
Mhm.
right? And so yeah, I like that.
And then also to scaffold for bundling, because even when we think about like that star item that you had, like the second one, they really need to, like that strategy is going to be important to get that question right.
Yep, absolutely.
So then
Anything?
that's the other thing, right? Like the bundling. So once they have represented the number, then deciding if they need to bundle.
Yes, exactly.
Finding that group of 10.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anything else for the success criteria?
And then almost always, like, their end product is writing the number in standard form.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want to get really good at that. Absolutely. Okay, so here's what I have. Here are the notes I took. We want to build and label a place value chart up to 100,000 place value. We want to use that scaffold we talked about, draw dots to accurately represent the digits. Determine if regrouping is needed and represent it by bundling smaller units to make larger units. And then write down the number in standard form. So if we have these 4 success criteria, are we hitting the main skills, the main strategies, and the main learning outcomes that we want to be successful and master this exit ticket and master the understanding of this lesson?
Yes.
I agree. All right, great work. So we're going to use the success criteria to drive the rest of our meeting. So we're about to jump into our step 2. And stop.